or this is wrestling fantasy theory. So, in this episode, I want to talk about pay-per-views. I've already mentioned and spoke about what I do with WrestleMania, turn it into a big 2-day event. Go check the video out if you want to see more on that, hear more on that. But to expand on that, I think the big 4 pay-per-views, bear in mind the Royal Rumble's already done this, I believe anyway, should have made bigger, into bigger spectacles, so they're completely and utterly separated from the rest of the pay-per-views, of the bronze pay-per-views. In regards to this, I want to talk about SummerSlam, because I think for a long time now, SummerSlam has needed a revamp. It's needed a really good update, you know. And I think SummerSlam should be where WrestleMania is now in regards to size. That's where it should be. It should be that big. It should be in the football stadiums. That's where it should be. Yeah. Now, where WrestleMania has the Royal Rumble to help build WrestleMania, and it does a really good job of doing that. I think that SummerSlam would obviously need something like that to help build it up. Now, if the company went back and looked through the history, they'd find that they already have what they need just sitting there, ready to go, ready to relaunch. And what I'm talking about here is, I'm talking about the King of the Ring. Okay? It's old pay-per-view that's not been done for a while, and I think it should be relaunched. And it should be SummerSlam's Royal Rumble, essentially. And you used to run in June. You could move the date to July. You can get the aftermath of WrestleMania done. You don't have to, I guess. You could keep it down, whatever. And I'd make it a big event. So I'd have qualifying matches run on SmackDown and Raw. And then you would have sort of like the final qualifying matches for King of the Ring at the pay-per-view before King of the Ring. And I think this is it's a really good thing to do, because it gives different matchups. It gives airtime to a lot of the talent. It gives them something to go for, you know. And I think it works. When it gets to the actual pay-per-view King of the Ring, I think that then becomes that the brands are then mixed in together. So you have the final, I don't know, 8 or 10, let's say 10, the final 10 from SmackDown, the final 10 from Raw, come together, they're thrown in a pot, essentially, and the matchups are drawn at random on the pre-show. Gives it something, you know what I mean? So the matchups are drawn at random on the pre-show, so you got the things there, and then just go through the format, and that's pretty much your whole show taken up right there. But the end goal is, instead of getting a crown and a scepter and a throne, which is it's a bit shit really, isn't it? The winner of the King of the Ring gets a shot at the title at SummerSlam. You've then got time to build the feud, if needed, for SummerSlam, and it also gives a little bit of prestige, which will then it'll get more and more as time goes on and on and on, you know. So it's like, yes, I won the King of the Ring. I bested, you know, all these other guys to become the #1 contender at the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. You know, it's a big title for someone. You know, and you can build a good match just around that itself. You know, it can be used to help sell SummerSlam as a big stadium show as well. I think doing the tournament format as well, it would help. It would help to build other storylines as well, build other feuds, non-title feuds. You know, it can also be used to help launch the careers of future title contenders or title holders. You know, like it was used to. You know, if they go really deep into the competition, if they have some absolutely amazing matches, then it's going to do really well. This can also be used for not only the men, but it can be used for the women as well. The women's divisions at the moment are not as deep, so you wouldn't necessarily need to do as many qualifying matches. But the format could still work all the same. You know, I think it's a good idea. It makes things a little bit more interesting. You know, it's like, yes, they've may have lost the Royal Rumble, but there's always the King of the Ring. You know, and then you're not constantly relying on other factors in regards to SummerSlam, because I feel like sometimes SummerSlam can be a bit of a letdown. I liked the SummerSlam when, I think it might have been last year's, I think, or the year before, with Ambrose and Ziggler. I really liked the build to that match. I thought that was really good. You know, they had essentially a tournament to get the number one contender, which Dolph Ziggler won, and it was, you wouldn't have predicted it, and it was great. I didn't think the match was much cop. I don't think Ambrose really did particularly well with that match. He might have been injured. I don't think they worked well together. Usually, I'd expect a Dolph Ziggler match with someone like Ambrose tearing a house down, but it's a little bit flat. Didn't happen. But what I'm saying is the build up to it was really, really good. So I think that would really work. You know, I think, as I said, it's just going to help people. It's going to help the superstars. It's going to help the wrestlers. There's a lot of pros to it. A lot of different pros. You know, and as I said, it can help build other feuds as well. So, that's what I think for SummerSlam. And I think it needs to be bigger. It needs to be in a big stadium. You know, it needs to be where WrestleMania is now. It needs to be that size, that grandeur. It needs to have that much of a deal made out of it. Like, yes, this is SummerSlam. This is, you know, the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. This is the second biggest pay-per-view that this company has, you know. It needs a big deal made out of it. And I think having something like the King of the Ring in front of it as a lead into it works. It works. I think I'm using that phrase a lot. I'm trying to avoid it. It works. But yeah, just having something like that as a lead-in, I think it gives it that extra oomph. And as I said, as I keep going back to it, it does help to create other storylines as well. And it gives this unbelievably stacked company roster something to do during the summer, you know. So yeah, thoughts and comments in the section if anybody watches these. If not, say hello. Cheers. See you in a bit.